If you are using assets in JSM, I have a very important question for you. Are you even backing up your asset configurations? If the answer is no, then my friends, I have the perfect video for today because today we're going to be looking at Revyz's asset configuration backup and restoration solutions. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Drop a like if you get value out of the video. And most importantly, check out the links down below because if you are using assets and you've never backed up your configurations, then you definitely want to start a free 30-day trial to Revyz Data Manager for Jira. Let's jump into it and let me show you how easy it is to back up your asset configurations and most importantly, how easy it is to restore them. I'm going to walk you through a typical use case. All right, so here we are inside of Jira, and as you can see, I am inside of a sandbox. And this is really critical because whenever you do something pretty big, and working with assets is a pretty big thing to do, you don't want to be doing these things in production. You want to test things out. You want to build out proof of concept type of thing. You want to do that in your sandbox. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to manually have to rebuild everything because assets can get pretty involved. They are not the easiest thing to set up. They can be pretty complex and it takes a while to get your asset configurations just the way you need them. When they're done in your sandbox, you have to redo it in production, but not for you. Because you're watching this video, you are now aware of Revyz's solution that allows you to take those items from that sandbox, which is what I have today, and I'm going to show you how we can restore them or clone them over to our production environment. So let me show you how easy it is. So back inside of Jira, inside my sandbox, I'm going to jump into this object schema here. From inside of here, I'm going to simply just add a new type of laptop. As you can see here, I already have MacBooks, I have a Lenovo, but I'm now going to add a new type. I'm just going to add a MacBook. You can see I have a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, MacBooks, and I'm going to add also just under laptops as another category, I'm going to add a Asus, okay? And so as you can see, I am tracking different types of machines and I have a pretty nested configuration going on here. Under my iPhones, I have an iPhone 15 Pro, I have Androids. I can also, if I wanted to, maybe have an iPhone SE, right? I can add all the different things and ideally you have your asset configurations just the way you want, right? You fine tune them, they're right in your sandbox. Now it's time to move them over to production. And again, the options you have are really limited. You essentially rebuild in production. You don't want to be doing that because of just how complex these assets can be. You don't want to leave it to choice. So you want to use something like Revyz to help you through this process because it's going to do it all for you and it's super simple. Let me show you. So back in Jira, once I have everything set up correctly, I'm going to simply click on my little gear over here. I'm going to go to my apps. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go down to manage apps. And then I'm going to look for Revyz. I'm going to do a backup because I just made changes, because I just set up my configurations. I need to go and do a backup. There's actually another reason why I want to do a backup now. Out of the box, Revyz is not set up to do asset configurations. So you need to make sure you put in your API key if you haven't done that already, and or select this checkbox so that asset configurations are also included in your backup. Because again, by default, you usually just have Jira issues and Jira configurations. Now, because I'm in the sandbox, you'll notice that asset objects are currently not supported. So that's another video for a different time. But we are going to be looking at our asset configurations. So once you have the checkbox, once you have your API, once it's all good there, I'm simply going to click on backup now. I'll click on backup again. And what this does is it's going to trigger a backup and it's going to go grab all those changes that I've done, all that nested logic of all my assets that I've created, my iPhones, my iPhone SE, the laptops, the MacBook Airs, all that good stuff that we just created. And it's going to back it all up. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how easy it is to restore. Once your backup is completed, we're going to move over to our destination site and we're going to do a quick backup over there. So here I am in my production environment. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to click on the gear, go to apps, click on manage apps, and you need to just make sure that at this point you have Revyz installed on both your destination and your source website. Now, because this video is specifically for assets. I'm gonna link the original video that I have on how to set up and configure Revyz Data Manager for Jira for the very first time. So you're gonna wanna check out that video if this is the first time that you're using Revyz. But assuming that you have it all set up, all you need to do is go down to Revyz, do a backup, and run another backup. Now, in this particular case, I've already ran a backup, but here you also want to make sure that your assets and everything are good, that you have your API. Once all that's done, is run the backup and you're going to be good to go. Again, I've already done it, so I'm going to skip over that part. Okay. Now, once you have both backups in both sites, we are going to go back to our sandbox, and I'm going to now click on clone and restore. And what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to take those object schemas from my sandbox and I'm going to push them over to production. So watch how easy it is. I'm going to click on clone and I'm going to click on this new asset configurations. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to pick my backup. This is the latest backup that I just ran. So I'm going to click on next. Then I have to pick my destination. I don't want it to be my sandbox. I want to go to production. So I'm going to select my production instance. And I'm going to prove to you that over here, I'm back in production. Under assets, I got nothing. There's no schemas, all right? So now that I have selected my site, I'm going to click on compare snapshots. And now I have everything that's different between my production and my sandbox environments. Now, the critical part is I want to now push only minute changes because out of the box, we have a services schema. We don't want to do that. So as I select all these items that I want to essentially push from the sandbox to production, I want to go into my object schemas and I want to make sure that I do not push any of my services. Those already exist and don't need to be in there. So I'm just doing a quick sanity check here, making sure things are good. As you can see here, I have some services. I'm going to turn these off. I don't want to send them. Now this is all up to you if you want to do this or not. But for my specific use case, I'm only interested in pushing out my demo Revyz sandbox schema. Everything else, I don't really care about it. So I'm just going to make sure that it's not selected. Once you've selected everything you do want, you're going to simply click on review dependencies. This is going to go out and figure out what other things need to be also migrated. And then we're going to click on view summary. This is going to summarize all the things that are going to go. And then we're good to go. We're going to click on clone. I'm going to put in a message, moving over my asset configurations. And then you just got to type in the name of your sandbox. ATech Engineering -sandbox -867. Once you have that, click on clone. And then we're going to let Revyz do its thing. Once the cloning is successful, you are going to see a successful message here. And now I'm going to go back to my production site. I'm going to click on refresh. And just like that, my demo Revyz sandbox has now showed up. Now, the real trick is when I click into it, do I see all my configurations in there? So let's click in. So as you can see here, everything that I created, my iPhone SE, my MacBook, the Asus machine, everything, the entire structure is right here. So as you can see, rather than spending all this time manually doing all of these changes and copying things over, with Revyz, I can just click a few buttons and it does it all for me. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're using assets in JSM and you're not using Revyz to do your backups and your restorations, then you really are missing out. I want to remind you to check out that link in the description down below. You definitely want to start a free 30-day trial. Special thank you to the team over at Revyz for making this video possible. And that's it for this video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.